That's what we need. Lots and lots of power. So last episode, we built 5 essential create farms in preparation for today's project, which is going to be a huge wind farm off the coast of our island. And you may notice that since last episode, I have started replacing the stone in the floors and the walls with some other blocks just to make it look a bit nicer down here, although it is temporary, so it doesn't really matter. I haven't sorted out the ceiling yet, but I haven't quite built all the farms I'm going to need for today's project yet, so we've got a little bit of work to do before we can get building. In fact, before we get to the additional farms and things we need before the wind farm, I need food. I literally have a little bit of bread left, but other than that, all I have is a whole lot of raw food. So let's maybe take a bunch of this stuff and see if we can go make ourselves something a bit more interesting than plain bread. So after a bit of searching around, we do have this one meal here, which is ratatouille, which looks very nourishing, but this is one of the only meals that's actually available that doesn't involve meat. And as we don't have any meat farms at the moment, I guess this is what we're sticking with. So what was it? We need beetroot, onion, tomato, and carrots. And we're going to need some bowls as well. So let's just make a bunch of those. Now that's going to dish up lots of ratatouille for us. I've already accidentally dished up a couple for myself as well, but look at that. Much, much tastier. And in fact, I even got a nourishing advancement. I'm going to dump all this excess veg in here though, because I would think a whole bunch of ratatouille is probably going to be enough for me for now. Just got to wait for all of this to cook. And that should be enough to keep us going for now. We can always come back for more later, but for now, I have a full belly. Which means now I can work out what resources we're going to need from down here for our wind farm. And obviously, we're going to need wool. Lots of wool. And we've got 6,892 currently. But because I knew I was going to need so much wool for today's episode, I did actually leave myself loaded into the world overnight last night. So we've also got tens of thousands of the sand, the gravel, and the cobble. We've also got a bunch of clay and flints. And our wood stocks aren't doing too bad either. So we definitely don't need to worry about the wool. But something else we're going to need is a whole bunch of stone. And we've got cobble, but I need to turn this into stone itself. So we're going to need to cook up a whole bunch of this. And in fact, while I'm cooking that up, I might as well cook up some sand as well, because we're going to need quite a lot of glass. I do have a bit of an idea in my head of how this thing is going to look, and I'm hoping we can pull it off. So let's go get all this cooked. And as we still don't have a proper workshop yet, I mean, I need power before I can build a proper workshop, we're just going to go use the fan we already have up here. And we're just going to offload all of this stuff from our backpack onto the floor. That should get cooked up in no time. Wonderful. Look at that. Lots of useful stuff. Ah, I'm stuck. I think what I'm going to do is move all of this stuff into this backpack, because it can hold a lot more than my main one. Grab loads of the wool while we're here. I'm also going to need a whole lot of tuff, and we don't have much of that right now, which means I need to go get some. And I think we all know what that means. That's enough of that. We now have plenty of tuff. Wonderful. Now, next up, we're going to need some white concrete. I mean, we are making a wind farm out in the ocean after all. We're definitely going to need white concrete. And because we have the Create Enchantment Industries mod installed, which actually relies on another mod called Dragons Plus, we have access to liquid dye. And there's something very cool we can do with this. So to make it, I just need water and white dye. Well, that's easy enough. Although, on looking a bit closer at this, that's only going to give us quarter of a bucket. So we're going to need 4 of these white dyes. So bucket of water, 4 dye, and there we go. We have our bucket of white dye. Excellent. Now, because we have this bucket of white dye, what we can now do is make a cobble generator. So same kind of layout as what we've already done, but instead of using water, if we use white dye, it's actually going to produce concrete for us. So let's just grab a few bits and bobs. Alrighty, now I guess it makes the most sense to try and squeeze this one in next to what we've already got. Although I'm assuming we can't, we can't waterlog with this. So we can't do exactly the same layout as what we've got here. What we will do is start by feeding everything into here. For now, I guess we can just stick another drawer on the end. Then we'll put a singular piece of white concrete there. So that's where we're going to generate it. So we'll create a little cage here to put in the white dye bucket. We'll have another one here for the lava. Then we just need a drill on top. And I can probably just connect that around the back here. A couple of encased chain drives, a couple of shafts, and a vertical gearbox. Overstressed. Ah, of course it is. We knew this was already at its limits. So instead of 241, we're now going to run this at 217, apparently. That's fine. It's only going to be a tiny bit slower. We just need a funnel there, and that should start loading up our white concrete. Wonderful. So we're making some good progress on the core resources we're going to need. I'm also going to take some wood with me, and I'll probably want a splash of color somewhere on this windmill, so maybe I should take some acacia. That could be quite nice. But we'll take a few stacks of all the woods anyway, just because I don't really know what we're going to need yet. Now, next up, I also want a whole bunch of pale moss, which means I'm going to need bone meal to get it, but I don't have a lot of bone meal at the moment, so we're just going to compost a whole bunch of stuff. We've got loads of saplings and leaves downstairs as well in the tree farm. Let's quickly get rid of all these moss carpets first. These do not do well for bone meal. Almost 3 stacks of carpets, and I got 4 bone meal from it. So yeah, that was terrible. Now I've got lots of pale oak leaves. Let's use a bunch of these. Well, lots of composting later. I've got a stack and a bit of bone meal, so that's going to have to do for now. And I'm going to make myself a diamond hoe, because that's going to speed this up. And I guess I just need to find somewhere that I can destroy and turn into moss. And the entrance to my mine is basically just a great big hole in the ground, so let's go do it in here. So let's just do this and make lots and lots of moss, and then we can dig it all up. I've got just over 10 stacks of moss. That should be enough for now. So let's get all that added to the bag. Now, what else are we going to need? We're obviously going to need a windmill bearing and some create bits and bobs. Maybe a few decoration bits. And I do need to turn this glass grey. So I think what we're going to do is grab all of that. But to make grey, we need black and white. And to get black dye, we're going to need to grind up some coal. So let's just chuck that in there. Give it a little spin. And there we go. Oh, we actually got 1 grey as well. Lovely. And what I need to do is to make a bucket of grey dye. So we need a bucket again. Can't wait to get a workshop so I don't have to keep running around all over the place to where I've scattered random things. But if we chuck this in here with some water again, same thing as with the white dye, this will give us a bucket of grey. And while that mixes up, if we come over here and remove that, make sure that's spun round, grab the dye and put that in here. And what we should be able to do is just chuck all this in here and it should dye it grey. There we go. It's starting to turn now. We can see all the normal glass disappearing. Wonderful. Then let's grab that, put the water back, turn that back on. And now we have lots of grey glass and it only costs us 4 dye. Wonderful. Let's chuck all that back in the bag and grab all the create bits we needed. I've loaded up the bag with some create bits. I've also added some cobble and some deep slate as well. I think that's going to come in handy because we do need to attach this thing to the sea floor after all. And I've grabbed what little moss we had as well because, well, that's probably just going to come in handy. In fact, I think I'm going to grab some leaves and bits too, just so we've got some more detailing blocks. And something else I want to grab is my mason table, just so we can make additional variants of the blocks we've got in here. I think a stone cutter might come in handy as well, and we'll just grab a bit of zinc, because we're probably going to want some copycat panels. So I was just about to set off, but it occurs to me there's something else that's probably going to come in quite handy for this build. I mean, we're building a wind farm out on the ocean. It's dark, I should probably sleep. But if we're building a wind farm out on the ocean, they're going to need to be really big. Like, really quite big indeed. And I don't have an elytra, which means I need another method of vertical travel. Maybe it's time to make a jetpack. So it looks like either the netherite or the brass jetpack gives us a max height of 28 blocks, which is better than the other 2. So this is what we're going to need: a steam engine. And that involves deployers, fans, propellers, alloy. Okay, I mean, this is doable. It's going to take a bit of effort, but I think it'll be worth it. So let's start with this steam engine, shall we? We're going to need to do this sequence 3 times, which means we need 3 fans. And there's not a 100% chance we'll be successful, so let's prepare and actually make a few extra bits. So let's make 6 of these fans. They'll come in handy for use elsewhere either way. Okay, so let's give this a go. First up, it's small cog, then big, then fan, then alloy. And we do this 3 times, and excellent, it worked. 1 steam engine. So now we just need to grab our mechanical crafters, some brass, and a couple of encased fans. I knew those other fan blades would come in handy. Oh, not that we need them, we've actually got encased fans anyway. Right, so what we're now gonna do is build our mechanical crafter here. Then it was 3 brass, 2 fans, 3 cogs, an alloy, and a steam engine. Oh yes, look at that, 1 jetpack. Now to fuel this, what we're going to need is to make a bunch of these filling tanks. So we need copper sheets and barrels to make these fluid tanks, and then we can turn those into small filling tanks, and then with a bit of extra copper we can make those bigger. And we're going to need those because we fuel our jetpack with lava and water. So we need to make sure we've got lots of canisters of those things with us before we go out and build. So we're probably going to be doing a whole lot of flying. So we've already got a few fluid tanks and some copper sheets. That's probably going to be enough. We've also got some barrels and we're going to need a bit more copper. So first up, lots of tanks. And we're just going to turn these into large tanks. There we go, loads of tanks. How many do we actually have? 16 of them. So if we fill up 8 of these with water and then 8 with lava, that should be able to keep us going for a long time. Although we're going to have to find quite a large lava pool. Right, that's water done. Let's go find some lava. My thinking is if we go down into the caves and get ourselves a bit of lava, I know where there's at least one little lava lake. There we go, this one right here. Oh, we can't put lava in these? Do I need a different kind of tank for lava? Oh, I need fueling tanks, which means I need sturdy sheets, which means I need obsidian and lava in a spout. Oh my days, right, okay. And we're gonna need quite a few sturdy sheets for each one of these. In fact, we're gonna need 96 if we wanna make 8 of these full-size tanks. That's quite a lot. So that means we've got a little bit more work to do before we can start flying around. All right, so to make sturdy sheets, first up, we're gonna need a bunch of obsidian. Oh, I really need to get my tools enchanted. This is taking forever. I can make it look fast though. Well, we raided that lava pool for obsidian. I need to go raid... Oh, this will do. But what I was going to say is I need to raid more lava because we're going to need this to squirt onto the obsidian once we've crushed it. And hopefully that's going to be enough. And we're just going to borrow these crushing wheels to get some obsidian dust. Now, what we need to do is just keep loading up this drain, and that's going to squirt down onto these. Then we need to rotate these plates onto the press, and then that's going to make our sturdy sheets. This could take a moment. So that should be plenty of sturdy sheets. We just need to make ourselves a few more fluid tanks, which means we're going to make some copper sheets and some barrels. But then we can make our fuel tanks and we'll be good to go. So that's the fluid tanks. Then we need 8 fuel tanks. And we're just going to upgrade those into large ones. So that's 8 large fuel tanks. Let's go get some lava. And that's where this giant pool here is going to come in quite handy for us. So that is 8 full up fuel tanks. We're going to add them into this bag here. We'll actually keep one of each on us. There we go. Look, we can see the jetpack is fueling up automatically just because those things are in my inventory. That's good. Although it only seems to fill up if I'm actually holding it in my hand. But I guess that kind of makes sense. Our jetpack is now full. So let's put that on. That's going to make getting around so much easier. Wonderful. And we can only go up to a height of 28 blocks, but it's better than the 0 blocks we could go up before. And as long as I keep a bit of additional fuel in my inventory, that'll just keep topping itself up. So let's just clean up all the stuff I don't need. We have an item vault here for putting in liquid things, because as you can see, it was just draining my lava. That's what I get for using drains, I guess. But that's okay. By using the item drain, I can still put full liquid things in there. All right, I think we're finally ready to go build a wind farm. We just need to choose somewhere to put it. And it's pretty much just going to be out there, isn't it? Let's be honest. So we do kind of want to see some of this from the coast. So how about we put our first tower around about here somewhere? And I want these things to be absolutely massive. So how about we start with a big circle at the bottom? And then let's just get this built up into a platform and we'll figure out what we're doing. So something about that tool, I'm thinking. We will, of course, get this connected to the seafloor as well. I just kind of want to work out the size of the pole first. And then we can come back and do all the detaily bits and make it look nice. So next up, we're going to grab some tuff and some moss, I think. And we're going to use our mason table as well because I think I want to turn a bunch of this into sanded tuff. And what we're going to do is just make the next level of this tower. So we'll start with tuff at the bottom, then we'll move to moss. We'll worry about blending this all in later. It's just going to be straight line dividers for now. And then after the moss layer, I'm thinking we could probably blend this into some sanded tuff. And let's just mess up these edges a little bit just so it blends better. And we'll bring some moss up into this bit here as well, I think. And then we'll just do the same with this border here between the tuff and the moss. How's that looking? Okay, not too bad. But this is basically just like the concrete plinth that the actual windmill is going to stand on. But I think that should work quite well. But now what I want to do is start shaping the actual tower part for this. So this is the bit that's going to hold the blades. Now, I don't know about you, but when I picture a wind farm, I picture something like this, where each windmill has 3 blades going out. They're all lovely and curved and evenly spaced and look wonderful. And I had a little play around in creative to try and recreate something like that, and it wasn't going particularly well. So we're actually going to be doing a different style of windmill here. But we'll get to that a little bit later. For now, let's build a great big white pole to put it on. This is where our concrete's going to come in handy. Now, at this point here, we're going to put a little indent. Its purpose will become clear later. And to be honest, it might even get moved. This is more just so I can try and plan things out. And the plan here is to gradually taper the tower as we go up. So it's going to get thinner as we go higher and higher. Well, I think it could do with another beam that runs up through the middle here, maybe. But we'll worry about that later. For now, let's just keep going up. Well, I'm pretty high up. Hopefully this tower is going to be big enough. Might actually be a bit too big. I don't really know. So I've been staring at this for a while, trying to work out how I'm going to do the blades on this thing. Because what we're going to be doing is a vertical windmill. So these 3 notches here are actually evenly spaced now. They weren't, but they are now. And I'm hoping we can just connect some bits outwards and then have like a little spiral that goes up. Essentially a giant version of windmills we built before on the Just Create SMP. But yeah, it's not an easy shape to do, but I think I have a plan on how we can potentially get it done. And once we've got these blades in, we can worry about making the tower look better and bulking it out a little bit. It does look a bit thin right now. So my plan is to draw a circle on the ground here, and then we're going to go round and gradually sort of... Whoa, that was close. Maybe I should sleep. It's getting a little bit violent out here. Standing next to a giant pole in a thunderstorm doesn't seem like a good idea. Right, now, what was I saying? Okay, so my plan is to basically draw a circle on the floor down here, and then we can use this as kind of like a template for pulling up the sail and doing what we need to do. Just hoping it's going to work. The trick is going to be trying to get the circle in the right place, which currently it is not. Right, that's better. That is now central on that panel and this panel, which means if I do the same pattern again, it'll also be central on that 3rd panel. Right, there we go. So if we were to do one blade that stretches up like that, and then we do another blade that was to start down the bottom and stretch up around this way, they should wrap around the tower quite nicely. Now, I don't want the blades to start this low down, so let's maybe build up to here somewhere. And then we're just going to start putting them in. And what I want to do is I want each blade, or each segment, I should say, to raise up by 2 blocks. So in between each part of the circle, we're going up by 2 blocks, and we're following the template down here. So this will go across, and then up by 2, then across, then up by 2. And then we need to go back in again, so we'll do this. Yeah, this might work. Guess we won't know until we get it all in. So that's the first part of the spiral in. It needs a little bit of cleaning up. It's a little bit janky in places, but I think we can make this work. I just need to bulk it out because currently it is obviously way too thin. We want this to be maybe sort of like 10 blocks tall, for example, each part of the fan, or the sail, I should say. So I'm just going to clean up the rest of this concrete, which the dolphins seem to be absolutely loving down there. And to be honest, I can't just leave it with them. We do have a concrete generator after all. But yeah, once I've got this cleaned up, I'm going to work on the fan for a little bit, and hopefully when I bring you back in, it's going to be looking a little bit more like a sail, instead of just an incredibly thin white line like it currently is. Well, I don't even want to talk about how long that's taken, but needless to say, it was a lot of broken up replays, lots of trial and error, but I think I've got something I'm happy with. What I'm not looking forward to, though, is trying to mirror the exact same thing on the other side of the building, but I think I've got a way around that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the schematic cannon from our portable truck. Oh, no! I hate creepers so much. Creepers are the worst. Right, let's get this fixed up. Right, that's better. I think that's how it was. Now, where were we? I need a schematic table, and a schematic and quill. And I guess I'm also going to need some gunpowder. Let's see what we've got. 13, that's probably more than enough. And what we're going to do is take a schematic of this whole thing here, and then when we go to bring this thing into existence, we don't want to duplicate the central tower, of course, but if we make sure there's only wool and acacia slabs inside the storage that the schematic cannon's using, then we can set it to only place those blocks. Though actually making this schematic is not the easiest thing. Right, so we need to go out this way now. Okay, that's got all that side done. We need this bit to come out a bit further, and that one as well. Right, so let's just get this saved. Now we need to place that schematic, and this is going to be quite difficult indeed. So the first thing I need to do is rotate it. Although I suppose because we've got the tower there, that should make it a bit easier to line up. So we just need to move it that way by a block. And I think that is in the right place. Just making sure the bit that sticks out the widest is central to the tower. I think we're good. So if I put a cannon down there, the schematic, some gunpowder. So we've just filled up this backpack with white wool and acacia slabs. And if we set this to skip missing blocks, yep, that one. Okay, that's already set. Schematic cannons are also really slow, however. So what we're going to do is actually change the config. I have no idea where it is. Schematics, that would make sense. Schematic cannon delay 1. And that should mean that it goes 10 times faster than default. Because otherwise this would take forever. Waiting for schematic cannon is no fun for anyone. I'm just going to play it safe and add a whole bunch more wool. Click play, and hopefully that should bring our new sail into existence. Well, I tell you what, it definitely looks a lot cooler now that there's 2 blades going on. Now what we need to do is get the blades connected to the central tower, and I'm thinking just something like that should work. And I want to make sure all of this is glued together as well, so let's get this done. And then we'll do the same thing here and make sure all of this is getting glued. And that's looking better now that it's attached. And I've just been poisoned, but I think I've got the rest of this glued together now as well. And then I died because I only had half a heart. Of course I did. Now, the annoying thing is my jetpack is on my body and that's floating all the way up there. So I guess I'm going to need a boat and a bunch of blocks to be able to get that back. That does look pretty cool, though, out there on the coast, apart from the latest death thing. So let's just quickly delete that waypoint for now. But yeah, that's looking pretty cool. If we imagine we have a bunch of those going across and they're actually connected to the seafloor instead of floating, that should look pretty cool. Especially once they're spinning, which is what I was about to do before I just died. Right, I have my items back. Let's quickly clear up all this mess I've just made. Now, what I need to do is get in here and put in a windmill bearing. Now, I'm really hoping this is going to work. Oh, it's going fast. And I died again. Let's just pretend I didn't fall off this block, shall we? Oh. Yep, good job, game. Playing along, making my body disappear. Good times. Right, so if we click that, that is spinning nice and fast, but it looks like we haven't got everything glued together properly. Yep, I've not glued this sail at all. Maybe we can do it without being killed by a witch this time. Alrighty, let's try that again. Is it spinning the whole thing now? It is. Oh, and look at that. Yes. Although that on there is not glued particularly well, is it? All right, 3rd time's the charm. Yeah, that's looking really cool. I like that. The tower itself is still looking very boring and bland, though, so we've got a lot of detailing to do on that. Seems to be a creeper up there, look. I see ya. Oh, and we've also glued a block there that shouldn't be glued. All in all, that's not a bad effort. Right, there we go. I think we've got everything now. The tower's looking a little bit bland, but the spinning blades look awesome. I'm really pleased with that. But I guess it's time I put in a bit of effort to sort out this tower, make this look good, sort out the bottom area. I kind of want somewhere where boats can come across and land with a little doorway to get in for maintenance. And of course, we need to fix the fact that this giant fan only produces 8,000 SU, which isn't even enough to run the farms I already have, let alone build an entire base. But don't panic, I've got a plan for that. First up though, let's make this thing look good. It's time-lapse time. There we go. That's looking much better. We've got a much thicker tower. The glass actually adds quite a lot. I think it works well. And then down the bottom here, we've just got a way you can actually get onto the platform and, of course, get inside it. And down below, I've even connected it to the sea floor. I've kept it quite basic below the initial surface bit, but that's fine. As long as it's connected, I'm happy. So that's the first windmill installed. But the problem is this only produces 8,000 SU, and that's a problem we need to solve. I do have a plan for that. What we need to do is just get back down the bottom here, go inside, and what we're going to do is hide more windmills in here. Just big blocks of wool that spin round, and I'm hoping we can maybe get another 3 windmills down here. I mean, potentially we could even get 4 or 5 if we drain that out. There is an ocean monument nearby, isn't there? Yes, maybe we should do a quick raid and try and get some sponges, because if we can actually dry that out, then we might be able to get even more in here. Let's go prepare for a raid. We're going to need a few things, I think. Now, to do this safely, we're going to need potions of water breathing, which means we need pufferfish, which we don't have at the moment, so we're probably going to have to do a little bit of fishing. I don't even have a fishing rod yet. Unbelievable. So we do have a brewing stand in our kitchen, one that we stole from a village, so let's just get this started. We'll get our awkward potions made, and I'll just sit out here and do some fishing until we get a pufferfish. Well, I got myself a pufferfish quite early. In fact, I've ended up with 5, but I wanted to get some fish as well, just so we can mix up our diet in future. Plus, fishing is just incredibly relaxing. But anyway, we can now make our water-breathing potions, and we're going to want to make them last a little while, so let's grab some redstone as well. And if we add that, that will turn them into 8 minutes instead of 3-minute potions. And the last thing I need is a bit of TNT, a block of redstone, and some dirt. Oh no, wait a minute. That's not the last thing I need. I also need invisibility. Otherwise, I'm just going to get absolutely decimated. So what do we need? A potion of night vision and a fermented spider eye. And a potion of night vision is a golden carrot. So we can make a golden carrot. That's not a problem. We're going to need another piece of nether warts. So we've got a spider eye, we've got sugar, but we don't have any brown mushrooms. So we can't make the fermented spider eye yet. Let me have a little look. There is a mushroom island somewhere near here. I think it's off in that direction, maybe? Yeah, all the way over here. So we can grab brown mushrooms from there. That's probably actually the closest place. Yep, looks like it. Well, I guess we're going on a flight over there then. There they are on the horizon. That'll do us. So if we do that, we'll get our fermented spider eye. We should have carrots somewhere. Have you got carrots? Yes, right. So that's the carrot we need for the night vision. Let's get brewing. And our 8-minute water breathing potions are ready. Excellent. So first up, we'll make awkward potions. Then add a golden carrot to make night vision. Then a fermented spider eye to turn them into invisibility. And of course, a bit of redstone dust to turn them into 8-minute invisibility potions. All right, I think we're good to go raid this monument. So I'm just going to remove those bits of armor. So I've only got my jetpack on. That way, the things won't see me when I drink my invisibility potions. But this should be fairly straightforward. We're well prepared for this. So let's drink invisibility. Let's drink water breathing. And we're just going to blast our way in through the top here. We'll take out this guy. And then even if there isn't a sponge room in here, we should still at least get a couple of sponges from the Guardians. It's not a massive area we're clearing out, so it should be okay. Oh, look at that. There's a sponge room right here. That's good to know. Let's just go take out the other... And another sponge room. Oh, this is wonderful. But for now, let's go take out the other Guardians, shall we? And it has just occurred to me, one thing I didn't bring with me was milk. So we're just going to have to wait for mining fatigue to wear off once we take out this last guy. 61 sponges, that's plenty. And once we've dried these out, we'll go and drain out the base of this thing, we'll jam in some windmills, and see how much power we can generate just from one tower. And then we just need to make a whole bunch more of them. Alrighty, so first thing we're gonna do is turn up our brightness so we can see what we're doing. And can I drain this without dividing it all up? That is the question. A bit. We need to dry these sponges a bit quicker though, so let's pop into the nether and do it. There we go. We've got loads of space. We should be able to get a whole bunch of power in here. I've also put slabs on the floor down here just so nothing spawns up. But for now, let's focus on getting in some new windmills. So let's build a temporary platform here just so I can actually hover in this area. As we do have a max height of 28 blocks. And that means we can't hover above this big hole here. And then we're going to put in some encased chain drives here. And then the plan is just to run a shaft down the side there. And that will transport the power from the windmills all the way down. So I'll stick another windmill there. If I get myself exactly 2 stacks of wool, that will create a max size windmill. So let's just get all this placed. So that's 2 stacks of wool, but it looks a little bit odd, so I'm just going to square this off, get all that glued together, and there we go. That should have doubled our power now. I did actually bring a stressometer with me so I can check these things. Although I'm not wearing goggles. How have I not made goggles yet? Then I suppose I've not really had power, so I've not had to worry about it, have I? Let's quickly go get some. So we need 2 pieces of glass, a piece of string, and a gold plate. So yeah, we're going to have to go make one of those. And then if we just do that, open up our curios slots and put those on our head. Now we should actually be able to read the stressometer. Oh, that looks awesome from back here. I love it. Right, there we go. 16,000 we're making. So yeah, it has definitely doubled. But that's not enough power. We want more power. So if we just go out here like this, stick another windmill bearing on, then we'll grab another 2 stacks of wool and we'll make another windmill. This one we can make even bigger. And the aesthetics don't matter for this bit because it's all just hidden indoors anyway. So big spinning cubes of wool are going to look absolutely fine. So that should be another 8,000 SU. Yep, we're up to 24,000, but we're not done yet. I want to stick in another one. 4 additional windmills later, and we're now producing 49,000 SU from this one tower, and that's much more like it.
Feel the power.
Oh, I can feel it.
So as well as the decorative one outside, we've now got 5 complete ones on the interior too. And the good news is I've also made a schematic of this whole thing before I turned it on. So that means we can start plonking them down all over the place. So now I guess we need to figure out how far apart we actually want them from each other. So that feels potentially a little bit too close. How about something like that? And then we could put one further back in the middle of these two and so on, and just kind of have a checkerboard kind of effect. I think that could work. Let's just hope it's not too far away for the cannon. So let's put a clipboard in there. So we're missing the gravel, which doesn't matter. Iron ore doesn't matter. Kelp doesn't matter. Seagrass doesn't matter. These bits do kind of matter. Okay, so we do need to get a lot more of the grey stained glass, a bit more mossy cobblestone, not too much else. And to be honest, the mossy cobble should be fairly easy. Let's just make that here. We've got lots of grey stained glass. We just need to turn it into panes. We can also make the stone slabs here and the stone buttons. We can make the pale oak fences here. We're doing all right. The only thing we can't make here is the speedometer, but to be honest, that's the one thing I don't really care about. We don't need those in every tower after all. We just need some gunpowder and we're good to go. There we go. Our second one is in. Let's see how that's looking from out here. In fact, let's see how it looks from our base. Yeah, that's going to look awesome, especially with like another one further back there, in line here, and so on. We can just have loads of them and keep adding them as we need them. Before we add more, though, I want to get this one turned on, and before I turn it on, I want to get them connected to each other. I think the way I'm going to do that is with a chain drive on the bottom here. We're going to connect a chain to that. We're going to put a matching chain drive here. And now that they're both connected, when we start turning these on, they should all start spinning in the same direction. Although I do need to put another shaft in first, because that is where the stressometer was. So let's quickly grab one of them. Our backpacks are still over here. Now we can just get all of these turned on. There we go. So if we now go check over at the stressometer, we should have just shy of 100,000 stress units with 2 of these running. Yes, look at that, 98,000. So now what I need is a bunch more windmills, and I'm going to keep making windmills until we run out of resources, which means I might only get another 1 or 2 because I don't know how much wool we've actually got left over in the farm. Righty-ho, we've got enough stuff for another one now. I'm hoping we can get away with a couple more as well. So I'm just going to blast some of these into existence. We'll get them all connected together, and hopefully when I bring you back in, it's going to be looking a little bit better over here. Short while later, and I've managed to get another 2 of the windmills in, so we're now up to 4, which means we've got just shy of 200,000 power, which is awesome. But to balance it out, I really do want to get a 5th one in. However, we don't quite have enough stuff. We need to get more white concrete, which we've probably got in stock. But the white wool, we definitely don't have any more. I've drained my white wool reserves. The cobble and the glass panes, they're not a problem, and the other stuff doesn't matter. But if we go and have a look, see how much wool we've actually got, I think we'll find we are nowhere near what we need. That looks awesome from over here, though. Oh, and it looks even better with shaders. Look at that. Anyway, wool, how much have we got? 58. Safe to say that when I'm over at the windmills, this isn't loaded. But I've got a whole lot of editing to do, so I'm going to go get that done, and I'm going to leave myself AFK here. And hopefully when we come back, I'll have lots of wool. We can get one more windmill up before we reach the end of the episode, because it's going to make for a much better thumbnail if there's 5 of them. Well, the editing's done. We're almost 34 minutes into this video. It's a longer one than usual. That's nice. And during that time, we've obtained 4,280 wool. Nice. So let's just grab all of this. And we needed lots of extra concrete as well. Wow, we've got 40,000 of this now. Jeez. Now, let's get our 5th windmill up. Yeah, there we go. That looks much better with 5. And that means we've now got 245,680 stress units to work with, which is wonderful news. Oh, it's raining. Anyway, enough of the shaders. Oh, it's the thunderstorm. Let's get rid of that, shall we? Now, we do still, of course, need to get the power over here to the mainland so that we can actually make use of it. So I'm thinking a nice, cool building here. There's probably some kind of power distribution hub. That could look quite cool. But from over here on the mainland, the wind farm is looking lovely. Definitely looks nicer with shaders, though. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.